Hello and welcome to Adventures in Venueland, an EAMC podcast. This is your all-access pass to go backstage and behind the scenes with some of the brightest minds that cross the scope of the live entertainment industry. I'm Dave Rettelberger.
And I'm Paul Hooper. We'll introduce you to some of our favorite people as we dive deep into the world of live touring shows and the venues that host them.
Hello and welcome to a detour episode of Adventures in Venueland, an EAMC podcast. I'm Dave Rettelberger, and along with my co-host, Paul Hooper. Today's episode is a little bit different. It's a detour or a side trip, one of our mini bonus episodes, where we take a single serving look at a topic impacting the live entertainment industry. Paul, I'll let you introduce our guest today.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, so we're here with Tim Zulawski, and he's the Chief Revenue Officer for A&B Sports and Entertainment with the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. And Tim, one of the big things that we kind of want to hear about is obviously you all had this really unique experience with, hosting Kanye at the venue, and, it made various news stories.
It was big news everywhere.
Big news, right? National news. But he was popping into various events that you all had, staying in the stadium, supposedly hosting different sort of activations to promote the album. And it just obviously visually was this kind of stunning event from all the photos I saw, very almost like Super Bowl halftime show-esque. So I guess kind of jumping into that, how did it come about? Is it something that was very exploratory from the beginning from your all side, or is it something that was really structured? What can you tell us about sort of the origin of it all?
Sure. I'd like to take credit for, going out and finding this opportunity and creating it, but that would be a lie. The chance happened by which we were contacted by some representatives from Kanye that had an interest in being in our stadium. And frankly, it started with a little bit of a smaller idea. I think in particular, it was more in the flavor of something around a video shoot around Donda eventually being released. And it tied to Atlanta. His mother taught over at Morris Brown. And so he had a family connection to Atlanta, although raised out of Chicago. And that spun into his desire to do a listening event here in late July, in preparation, again, of creating Donda. And from there, kind of, it took a life of its own.
Sure.
And ultimately, became quite a unique and fun opportunity. And anything for those obviously in the operational business that is unscripted, unplanned, has its own unique wrinkles to it. We internally would throw the pun that our motto is "Welcome Home," and it was taken literally. Here at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But the full sequence was a listening event and then a residency to which Kanye stayed here at the stadium and actually was very productive running multiple businesses of his out of the stadium. And then, a second listening event. And then, the conclusion wrapped up about a week thereafter. And so about a 3-week total stay at the stadium.
From an operations standpoint, and where you started on as your understanding of what it was day one to what it was by the end of the 3 weeks had to be quite a fluid situation, as I'm sure. How did you guys deal with that? How did you roll with that?
Yeah, so as I got an opportunity to sit with Kanye, and I said to him, I don't know who your PR agency is or if you have one or the matter, but this is one of the greatest PR pieces I've ever seen. Because if you actually had scripted it, where he would come do a listening event for 30,000+, almost 40,000 people, and whatever it was, 20 million that streamed, and then turn around and have all the PR because of who he is and his impact and his importance to society and music and the like, and the social media value, then come back and do a second listening event. He got an opportunity to literally have millions of people react to his music before dropping it. So I took my hat off to him in that regard. Now, so I give him the credit. If that was scripted, amazing. Well, now, was it scripted to us? No. And going back to what I said a moment ago, anything unscripted in operations usually sets a little bit of hair on fire.
Sure.
So,
Right.
So we had to, we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into, but one of the things we try to do is listen and kind of roll with it, a little bit of, rope it up, if you will. As the many operations experts will tell you, even the plans that are best, it's, how do they react in the emergency or the unforeseen happening. And so this was a lot of unforeseen, because at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, we're very much used to, for example, coming in here at Labor Day weekend, we have 2 college football games. Those have been well planned out, the schools, where people will be, band movements, whatever it may be, all detailed out. Every bit of this was not. So whether it be, guests that he had coming in that were going to be collaborative to his music, whether it be people coming in that were collaborative to some of his design work that he was doing, and even their hours of operation, a little bit different than I would say our 9 to 5 hours. And so,
Sure.
Setting up the appropriate security, for the safety of himself as well as his guests, as and if you wanted to kind of go down the blocking and tackling of it, think about it. You got a 2 million square foot facility. You got one of the world's most recognizable artists staying at the facility. He's got a number of guests coming in and out. Those guests don't necessarily know our facility. They don't know our protocols.
Right.
They don't even know where he's at within the stadium. Right. And so just making sure that, it was as smooth of an operation to meet, his goals and as well as really in all candor, continue to operate our business. Right. Because we didn't have this planned. And thus we had Atlanta United matches, and we had to work around getting things in and out of the area that he was in. We had to work around actually putting the visiting team in a different locker room. Now, the beauty of the way we built Mercedes-Benz Stadium, we have multiple locker rooms that are all brand new and, very well fitted for patrons. So we were able to work with Major League Soccer to use, a different, what I'll call world-class locker room. So Kanye was able to stay put. So with all that, there was a lot that our security team did, that our operations team did, that our guest services team did. But when you take a step back, it challenged us. And I'm really proud of the operations team, and that, we have our CEO, Steve Cannon's a military guy. So I'll say that our team, chinned the bar and then some, in order to provide, ultimately the best experience for our guest. And if you guys, and obviously in the operations, you would say your client or your patron that is coming in. And then what I would say was a very unscripted 3 weeks.
Well, and you mentioned how it's such a unique PR opportunity, not only the events themselves, but even when, he was like popping into the Atlanta United games, and the way that was sort of done obviously created this sort of like fire on social media, right? There was no like staged photos. It was these kind of blurry half shots of some fans saying, I think this is Kanye. I'm not really sure, and that was what went viral, which is perfect from like a PR building a buzz point of view. But did that create any sort of challenges for you all, where once people sort of knew he was staying there, knew he was in the building, were fans, kind of going looking when they went to the bathroom? Or did it just sort of challenge you all and allow you to step up and really, put your best practices into place?
So the team's best practices were definitely put into place, no doubt. And a number of people deserve credit for activating their areas and delivering. What I would say is, and I'll go back to my old days at Disney, where people were always surprised when, Mickey would be in one part of the Magic Kingdom and then all of a sudden miraculously pop up in the other.
Right.
Kanye would be in one part of the stadium and then miraculously pop up in another. And, we had the ability to move him as, not move him on our choice, but really, it was really as frank as this. Hey, we have Atlanta United coming out. It's going to be a packed house. You want to come out and see it? Oh yeah, I'll come out and see it. So he comes out and then he sees, he goes in one section and, everyone has a preconceived notion. Oh, a celebrity, does he want to be in a suite? So we initially take him to a suite and he's like, nah, I want to be closer to the people, closer to the match. Then we take him to the mid pitch. And then, to your point about fans seeing them, I would say, like most operators, probably over programmatic as far as around security. So he had his security, we had our security, and but fans were really respectful of him. Like they didn't, all of a sudden we didn't have this bum rush that put anyone, either the fan or Kanye, at any risk. Then all of a sudden he's seen, I don't know if either you gentlemen have seen an Atlanta United match, but we have a 4,000 person supporter section that actually just becomes 4,000 cheerleaders against the whole stadium going bonkers. And he saw that and he's like, well, that area is lit. I got to go over there. And so we moved him over to the supporter section, right? And so the irony of it was, you think about someone like Kanye West, or pick your celebrity, and you have 40,000 other people in the stadium, and you move them, from place to place. You're concerned about everything. You're concerned about the concourse movement. You're concerned about security issues. You're concerned about people being overwhelmed. And interestingly, it was very controlled. And so proud of our team, as well as Kanye. He's got a good awareness of his popularity, so he's not trying to create any undue attention that isn't necessary. So ultimately, I'd say, look back to those experiences, and it was unique and great from a PR, and hopefully enjoyable for both the fan and from Kanye's experience.
Tim, you mentioned actually sitting down with Kanye. And it's so rare, because people listening to this podcast, so many of us have been, marketing events sometimes for years. And the actual, sit down and talk about marketing with the artist almost never happens from our side of the fence. So what was that like for you?
So I've been in this business 28 years. The irony is, we run this stadium, basically every weekend something's going on. My team handles the booking, and my musical IQ is, if it could be in a negative, it would be. So I knew, obviously, Kanye's a celebrity. I'm not ignorant to that, but that didn't really, matter to me. He runs his business. He's got multiple businesses. He's got a relationship with Gap. He's got a relationship with Adidas. He's got, the music business and so really just sat down with him as a business operator, and trying to understand what he was trying to accomplish. He needed to understand what we needed to accomplish, right? As I sat with him and expressed to him, we didn't plan on you being here, and we've got, a business that's, wide open in a good way. And we need your cooperation, right? We need to know, who's coming in, when they're coming in, so to speak. We need to understand your end goals, like serving anyone else.
Sure.
So that we can figure out how we continue to do what we need to do, so that this can be, beneficial to all parties. And he was great about that. He was, really good. I sat with him a couple times, and it was a very direct and humble conversation, no different than, probably Paul, you and Dave would have together on a subject.
Sure.
And so, he can, in a good way, I would say, controls his environment for his shows. And so when he walks out there, he knows what's going to happen. And so if you can kind of be a person that can process putting on a live mega event like a concert, which he can do, then you can understand I would say, what's running on around you and what they need from you as well. But me personally, my wife laughs at me because she was the opposite. She has music IQ. And she's, and I know this is by video only, but you would not picture me as Mr. Music by any means. So she got a great kick out of those interactions for sure.
Now, is this something that you feel like is maybe a trend he's starting? Have you all had other artists reach out that, saw what he was capable of and, was like, well, maybe we want to do something similar? And obviously we've seen, him start to kind of do different but similar things at other venues. But do you think it's going to stay a one-off, or do you feel like it maybe kind of sparked an idea amongst other artists?
Well, I got to believe there is some spark there. I've already looked at next year as an example, 2022, and I think we have 68 mega events and 52 weekends. Wow. And so the ability for us to do that is not crazy high, but we will always listen. Our job is always to listen and understand, and if we can figure out a way to do something special and unique, we try to do it. No different than programming the stadium. We try to bring the best from around the world to Atlanta, so that the people of either, whether it be the U.S. or the Southeast region, can enjoy. And this one here happened to be unique. And, in Kanye's both listening events, he in roughly 4 to 5 days, he moved, 40,000 tickets a time, right? So it was well received by his fan base.
What did you have to do to market the event? Because it's not your traditional event that you market. I know we're all in the business of marketing some very unusual and very diverse events, but this is, again, something very unique. So how did you tackle that?
So Live Nation was Kanye's partner in the marketing of his 2 listening events. With that, what I would ultimately say, unlike, so we have ATL Live later this year. That's a self-promote, where we're doing the marketing and everything soup to nuts. And that's got Metallica and George Strait and Eric Church. And so, that's everything traditional, right? TV buys,
Sure.
Tracking and everything everyone can think of, whether it be online, digital, email, yada, yada, right? In order to sell and fill those stadiums. Given the viralness of what was going on, and really in a positive way, the cheap, how much they priced the tickets, which were not, as expensive as a traditional concert, because they knew that they were not traditional concerts. Your population base, it was very wide that could attend. It was, hey, this is an event. Tickets were, I think, at one point 20, and eventually got to, whatever it was, $60 or $80, on a ticket price point, depending on location. But the point of it wasn't the masses, if they wanted, had the opportunity to attend. They weren't priced out. And
Sure.
so between his popularity and the uniqueness and frankly, a little bit, I think also people at that time of the year, first one was in late July, of look, I just want to go do something. And Kanye's got a great following. I mean, his 20 million or whatever it was Apple downstreams or streams, shows that. His popularity with his merchandise lines show that. And so I would love to say there was some great pixie dust, but it's really like, hey, Thursday and it's Sunday, Kanye is doing a listening event at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Prices of tickets are now available on Ticketmaster. And by Thursday, we were out of tickets. Yeah.
Right. You just kind of open the gates and let them flood in.
I'm sorry I didn't have any magic, way to do it.
Well, maybe you do have, we're running out of time here, but I want one last question for you. If you could go back to yourself in the beginning and give yourself some advice, or if there's another venue, that's listening in today and maybe they find themselves in a similar situation, what advice would you have?
Well, you pointed on it. As I've done events here, it is very unique to sit with the artist. The way that I was afforded that opportunity to sit with Kanye, and if I could have sat with Kanye when he arrived and said, "What's in your mind?"
Yeah.
And if this was what was in his mind, then we would have known that we were doing, in essence, 2 concerts. Some residency time. Helping him develop an album. As far as access to his artists, obviously we had no role in any music, and from going back to the traditional programmatic aspect of operations, right? If we knew what was in front of us, it would have been just that much smoother, right? And again, I give my team all the credit in the world as to how they rolled with everything learning, in essence, hour by hour, day by day, to create the right delivery and cadence and such. But if I could wave a magic wand and got what I wanted, it would have been day one, sit with Kanye and said, okay, what are you thinking? If he's done like, hey, 2 listening events, some residencies, 3 weeks planning, here, I'm going to bring in some artists, XYZ, da. And then I could have said, okay, well, let's create a check-in list, okay, of who's coming in and who's approved and who's not approved. And, what are the hours operations? And here's where your caterer is going to set up and XYZ, right? Instead it unfolded, and we got to that point, but it unfolded, as the days went on. And thus you were a little, I would say, less efficient in the beginning, but we got our hands around it.
Hopefully that kind of spontaneity and everything, you never ideally want that to happen, but it also shows what you're capable of. So it's kind of like a badge you can wear as a facility of, we were able to roll with this, we were able to adapt and flex. And, we may never have something like this again, but if we ever had even if it was a football championship or something where we had a whole lot of moving pieces that we weren't expecting, we know on a staff side, we're able to adjust to that.
Yeah, we definitely learned that we have the ability to put up mega events in 4 days and run them very, very well. The people who came to both Kanye's listening events really enjoyed, and we survey after every single event we do here. And we have about 83 KPIs, key performance indicators of those events. And he scored very well amongst those patrons. And yes, that has to do with the content of what he put up, but it also has to do with the operations ability of our team here. And so, yeah, I mean, normally, I think we have Elton John on sale for next September. That's the normal kind of cadence, but
Right.
we've now
Right.
learned that, 4 days we can pull it off. And so, that expands our opportunities, and we definitely take some pride in doing something unique. I will say this to the operations people out there, as well as the operations people on my team. I made the comment of let's have some fun with this. And when you're going through the initial pains of learning what you don't know, maybe not so much fun, but if nothing else, they have earned a tremendous amount of pride. And it was unique, it was memorable, it was different, and it will definitely open us up to listening to anything and that other people may have in mind as it relates to how to entertain the people and use Mercedes-Benz Stadium as a part of it. Well,
congratulations! I mean, what a great bit of PR there, and the whole thing just inspiring for a lot of us in the industry to kind of see, in these times when we're uncertain of so much, to see actually an event that required some creativity and some unique ways to tackle those challenges. You guys did a great job with it, and it was really, really fun to watch along. Tim, before we let you go, anything you want to plug, venue social accounts, your social accounts, anything you want to throw out there?
Well, like I said, this fall we have Eric Church, George Strait coming along with Metallica, ATL Live. It's a self-promote that we do each year, and it'll be back again in 2022. We also have that's the first weekend in November. Second weekend we have Rolling Stones. We have a college football championship. If you're an Alabama or Miami fan, this coming weekend, or Ohio State, I'd love to get the Buckeyes down to Atlanta. We
travel well. We travel well.
You do travel well. I would love to have you come here, and I've had a conversation or two with your admin. I just haven't been able to get them out of the horseshoe up there. But no, look, at the end of the day, Atlanta's a great city. We welcome all and try, to be on the lookout at, Mercedes-BenzStadium.com for kind of the biggest and baddest from around the world that we can bring here.
That's awesome. Hey, really appreciate your time today. And a big thanks to everybody for listening to this special detour episode of Adventures in Venueland. Remember, you can subscribe and find more episodes wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. We'd love your 5-star reviews so you can help others find us. Until the next adventure, I'm Dave Rettelberger.
And I'm Paul Hooper. Thanks for listening, everyone. Adventures in Venueland is a side project of the Event and Arena Marketing Conference, a nonprofit organization bringing together people in the field of live entertainment to discuss marketing, publicity, and sales trends. Find out more at eventarenamarketing.com.
Audio editing and mixing by Camille Faulkner.
Design and digital advertising by Megan Ebeck.
Copywriting and publicity by Samantha Marker.
Guest booking and brand strategies by Paul Hooper.
Guest research by Dave Rettelberger.
Marketing strategies by Paul Hooper, Megan Ebeck, and Samantha Marker. Thanks for joining us. Until the next adventure.